With the announcement that AEW is going to be moving over to TBS and taking Dynamite and its new show that will be debuting August 13th, not 11th, I have to correct myself in the last video, but August 13th on TNT over to TBS at the beginning of next year, the announcement itself got, mixed reaction. And most of that mixed reaction was indeed positive, but there was some negative. The positive, basically, though, if you look at it from that standpoint, is the fact that everybody realizes that TBS is available and viewed in more homes than TNT. That's correct. TBS is available and viewed in more homes than TNT. And the reason for that is because with most basic cable packages, when you start your cable up or you restart your cable, if you will, TBS is part of the basic package right off the bat. You don't need to add it on or anything. It's right there when you start your cable service. However, TNT in some cable markets, like Xfinity, like with Xfinity, Cox, AT&T, Cablevision, TNT on the other hand is part of different cable packages if you want to add more variety to your viewing. So the move to TBS is actually a smart move because it will allow more eyes to be put onto the AEW product to see exactly what the whole deal is when it comes to people telling them, hey, you need to check out AEW. You need to see how good this show is. So by moving Dynamite and its new show Rampage over to TBS at the beginning of next year, it actually benefits them. It also gets them out of the whole, mostly out of the whole preemptive situation that they end up being in, like they will be in next week, because of the NBA and eventually the NHL. The reason they're being preempted next Wednesday and not going to be shown till a week from tonight is because of the NBA and mostly the NBA playoffs. This move, on the other hand, to TBS mostly avoids all that, with a few exceptions though. With a few exceptions. Those exceptions being the MLB playoffs and the NCAA tournament, the men's basketball tournament, in the spring and in the fall. Those are the only exceptions of preemptiveness that they would have to look at, but for most of the other time, they won't have to worry. That's unless, Turner decides to put the NBA playoffs on TBS as well in the future, along with the NHL playoffs, then, we might have a problem. But for the time being, most of the time being, I should say, AEW should not have anything to worry about. Now, they do have 4 super specials as well coming out later this year, according from what we understand, and into next year, that will be on TNT. These quarterly super shows, which could be just special editions of Dynamite or super shows on their own, are to help kind of give more AEW prominence to the viewer and get them ready for the move from TNT to TBS, from what I'm understanding. But besides that, like I said, the move from, TNT to TBS is a good move. Because TBS, as I mentioned, and everybody has agreed with this, is available in more homes and is viewed by more people than TNT, because you would have to actually, in some cases, add on a different cable package with different channels just to get TNT. Just like here, with me and my mom, if we want to watch something off Turner Classic Movies, we got to add that cable package that has it, to our service just to watch a movie off TCM. Now, like I said, there are those that do have negativity towards it. There are those that feel that it's a downgrade because of the fact that this is TBS to go into, and that TNT is looked at as the premier channel of all Turner networks. That this is the be-all, end-all channel you want to be part of. You want to have your sporting events on. You want to have your big blockbuster movies make the cable network premieres on. And that is indeed all true. TNT has definitely lived up to all that hype about it and more. However, again, this is why it gets itself put into a situation where in some cable markets they are available through purchasing or adding on another cable package, while TBS, on the other hand, is available right off the bat when you get your cable service. So again, the move to TBS is a smart move, but one can understand why fans feel that it's a demotion because not many people really watch TBS that much over TNT if they have TNT available in their homes, either right off the bat or if they add it on. Because TNT has everything TBS would have, if not more, and has more available and more variety to it, has more variety available to it. That's what I'm trying to say. More variety available to it than TBS. Now, that might be all true and everything, and if you have TNT as part of your service like I do along with TBS, then yeah, that might feel like it's a demotion, but in fact, it's actually a promotion when you think about it, because it's, like I said, TBS is available in all markets right off the bat when you get your service. So it's not a bad move when you really think about it. It's not a bad move. And the only preemptiveness in the long run that they have to, really worry about is during the spring with the NCAA men's basketball tournament, which is mostly like the first and second round, and the MLB playoffs, which is mainly the divisional round, the wild card, divisional, and championship rounds, if you will, and that's it. That's all they have to worry about. And sometimes those are on days they won't have to worry about being preempted on. But again, there are people that feel, but again, overall, I should say, the reaction is mixed, but that mixture of a reaction leaning more in the positive than the negative. But like I said, even though it mostly gets them out of the preemptive situation that they're trying to avoid, they're not out of the woods yet because of the NCAA and MLB playoffs. And who knows? The NBA, who knows? Turner might say, hey, we need more networks for our NBA and NHL playoff coverage. Let's add TBS. And that might be something that, that they have to work out in the future as well. But in the long run, though, this is actually a good move for AEW when you really think about it. It's really a good move. And, despite what the future may hold for them when it comes to this Warner Media Discovery merger and what it could entail down the line when it's finalized, is anybody's guess. But let me know what your guys' thoughts are. What are your thoughts on AEW going to TBS with Dynamite and Rampage? Do you think it's a good move, or do you think it's a demotion? Let me know down below. Comment if you like, and I will talk to y'all later. And sorry if I stuttered a little bit or felt like I spaced out a little bit. I was trying to think about what I was going to say, so I do apologize for that. But again, let me know what your thoughts are down below. Comment if you like, and I am out.